Mario is the most recognizable video game character in the world. For over 40 years, he's been jumping, racing, and saving the day in hundreds of games, a non-stop flood of adventures. But with so many out there, which ones actually matter? In this video, we're going to be zeroing in on the mainline Mario games, the ones that built his legacy and changed gaming forever.
Arrived from Japan 3 years ago, and now millions of American kids are hooked and mesmerized.
It's me, Mario! Woohoo!
The story actually starts way back in 1889 with a guy named Fusajiro Yamauchi making playing cards in Kyoto. Yeah, you heard that right. Nintendo began as a card company making Hanafuda gambling cards. Then, in 1956, Hiroshi Yamauchi took over Nintendo and transformed it from a playing card company into a creative toy maker, producing hits like the Ultra Hand, Ultra Machine, Love Tester, NNB blocks, vacuums, and allegedly love hotels, though that was never confirmed. None of it really worked out. But then, in the late 1960s, Hiroshi got into electronic toys. And when he sees how massive Atari is in the 70s, something clicked. He released the color TV game console in Japan in 1977, and boom, 3 million units sold over 3 years. So, naturally, Yamauchi wants to crack the American market. In 1980, Nintendo produces 3,000 arcade cabinets for this game called Radar Scope and ships them to the States. And it's a total disaster. American arcade owners took one look at it and basically said, "This is just Space Invaders with annoying sound effects." Nintendo is stuck with nearly 2,000 unsold machines gathering dust in a warehouse, and it looks like their American dream is dead. But here's where Miyamoto enters the picture. Yamauchi goes to this young artist, not even a programmer, and says, "Fix this." And Miyamoto, being the genius he is, approaches it completely differently than everyone else. He's thinking about story first, not code. He wanted to use Popeye characters, but when that licensing deal fell through, he just created his own. On July 9th, 1981, Donkey Kong hits arcades with this carpenter named Jumpman trying to save his girlfriend Pauline from a giant gorilla. The game is an absolute smash hit. During the development of Donkey Kong, Nintendo of America was renting warehouse space from a landlord named Mario Segale. After falling behind on rent, he stormed in demanding payment, and tensions ran high. But eventually, he let them slide. In his honor, they named their hero Mario. Mario and his brother Luigi, who was basically created as a palette swap for two-player mode, starred together in the 1983 arcade game Mario Brothers. This is where they became plumbers, navigating underground sewers and defeating creatures coming up from the pipes. But the real game changer dropped on September 13th, 1985, when Super Mario Bros. Launched for the Famicom in Japan. The NES version hit North America in September of 1986. And let me tell you, this changed everything. Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka led development, with Koji Kondo composing the music. And they worked from December of 1984 through September of 1985 crafting this masterpiece. The Super Mushroom, you know, that iconic red and white mushroom that makes Mario grow, that was actually a happy accident. During beta testing, they found that Mario was too tall, so Miyamoto's team came up with mushrooms to dynamically grow and shrink him. They modeled it after the Amanita muscaria mushroom, and it became one of the most recognizable items in gaming history. Now, the gameplay seems simple now, but back then it was revolutionary. You're running left to right, jumping on enemies' heads, collecting coins, grabbing power-ups. The Fire Flower lets you throw fireballs, and the Superstar makes you invincible while that incredible music plays and Mario flickers through rainbow colors. 8 worlds, each ending with a fight against Bowser, this giant spiked turtle who's kidnapped Princess Peach. Simple premise, perfect execution. And the impact? Super Mario Bros. Literally helped save the video game industry after the crash of 1983, when everyone thought home gaming was dead. The game was such a system seller for the NES that eventually moved over 40 million copies worldwide. Nintendo wasn't about to let this success slip away. In 1986, they released Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan, a brutally difficult sequel that reused much of the first game. Fearing that it was too hard for US players, Nintendo of America reworked a different game instead, Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic, swapping in Mario and friends. That became the Western Super Mario Bros. 2 in 1988, while Japan's original version later came to the US as The Lost Levels. Then came October 23rd of 1988, and Super Mario Bros. 3 hit Japan. This is where Miyamoto and Tezuka just went absolutely bonkers with creativity. The overworld map let you choose your path through levels. Total freedom compared to the linear first game. But the power-ups? That's where they really showed off. The raccoon suit gave Mario a tail and let him fly. The Tanuki suit did the same, but also let him turn into an invincible statue for about 5 seconds. The Hammer Brothers suit meant that you could throw hammers at enemies. There was a frog suit for swimming. They just kept throwing ideas at the wall, and everything stuck. When Super Mario Bros. 3 finally launched in America on February 12, 1990, 2 years after Japan got it, it was this massive cultural event. The game had even appeared in the movie The Wizard in 1989, building up insane hype. Over 18 million copies sold. So now, Nintendo's looking at portable gaming. Super Mario Land drops for the Game Boy in 1989 as a launch title. Mario is in Sarasaland instead of the Mushroom Kingdom, saving Princess Daisy, not Peach, from this alien spaceman called Tatanga. Now, despite being monochromatic and having all of those technical limitations, Super Mario Land sold over 18 million copies. November 21st, 1990. Super Mario World launches with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, and it's just gorgeous. This became the SNES's best-selling game, over 20 million copies, and introduced us to Yoshi. Now, Miyamoto had originally wanted Mario to ride a dinosaur since the very first Super Mario Bros., but the NES just couldn't handle it technically. So, when the SNES came around, Tezuka asked artist Shigefumi Hino to bring Miyamoto's old sketches to life. And that's how we got everyone's favorite green dinosaur. You could ride Yoshi, and he could eat enemies, fly temporarily, and even breathe fire when he ate certain items. The power-ups kept evolving. The cape feather let Mario fly with this awesome cape animation. The P-balloon inflated him so that he could float. This was Nintendo showing off what 16-bit hardware could do while keeping that magical, accessible Mario charm that had been captivating players since 1985. Alright, so now we're heading into the 90s. The first Super Mario Land sold like crazy, so of course they're going to be making a sequel. October of 1992 rolls around, and Super Mario Land 2, The 6 Golden Coins, drops for the Game Boy. But check this out. Instead of saving Princess Peach or Daisy, Mario's actually trying to reclaim his own castle. Yeah, apparently Mario has a castle now, and it's been taken over by this new character called Wario. Now, the name's actually a pun. Warui means bad or wicked in Japanese, so he's literally Bad Mario. It sold over 11 million copies. And more importantly, it introduced a character that would go on to have his own successful franchise. Then, 1993 hits, and Nintendo does something clever. They're looking at all of these NES games, the original Super Mario Bros., the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, the American Super Mario Bros. 2, and Super Mario Bros. 3, and they think, let's give these the SNES treatment. Super Mario All-Stars launches. And it's this gorgeous compilation with updated 16-bit graphics. Mario actually has a visible face now instead of just being a blob of pixels. The games looked incredible, and it became a massive seller, over 10 million copies. In 1994, after the Sony CD-ROM deal fell apart, Nintendo partnered with Philips, granting them rights to make Mario and Zelda games for the CDI. During one international conference call, Nintendo president Hiroshi Yamauchi reportedly told Philips not to include any cheeky nods to Nintendo's old Love Hotel days. But the poor phone connection flipped the message. Philips thought that he wanted clever references, so they built Hotel Mario, a puzzle game set entirely in hotels, complete with strange cutscenes and early Mario voice acting. Nintendo pretends that this game doesn't exist, and honestly, can you blame them? October 27th, 1995. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, arrives for the SNES, and it's a complete departure from anything they'd done before. You're playing as Yoshi, carrying baby Mario through 48 levels, trying to reunite him with baby Luigi, who's been kidnapped by Kamek. The whole aesthetic looks hand-drawn, with a crayon-like art style that is absolutely gorgeous. The story behind it is just as interesting. When Nintendo was developing Yoshi's Island, many studios were chasing realistic, pre-rendered graphics. But Shigeru Miyamoto pushed for the opposite. He wanted the game to look like a child's drawing, full of color and life. The team leaned into that vision, sketching backgrounds and characters by hand. And the result was one of the most visually unique and beloved art styles in the entire Mario series. The game sold over 4 million copies and got universal acclaim. June 23rd, 1996. This is huge. Super Mario 64 launches with the Nintendo 64, and it's Mario's first full 3D adventure. Miyamoto had actually been conceptualizing a 3D Mario since the early 1990s during Star Fox development on the SNES. He even considered making Super Mario FX using the Super FX chip, but ultimately waited for the N64's analog stick because it gave players more precise control in all directions. The game takes place entirely in Princess Peach's castle. The Nintendo 64's analog stick made an extensive repertoire of moves possible. Long jumps, backflips, side somersaults, the ground pound, wall kicks. It was revolutionary. Power-ups worked differently too. Instead of mushrooms and flowers, you had 3 caps. The wing cap for flying, the metal cap that turned Mario into metal, and the vanish cap that let him walk through obstacles. Super Mario 64 is widely considered one of the most important and influential games ever made, essentially creating the template for 3D platformers. It sold nearly 12 million copies on N64 and got near perfect review scores. It was also the first game where Charles Martinet officially voiced Mario, giving us that iconic
It's-a me, Mario! Woohoo!
The game's influence on 3D game design cannot be overstated. Everyone was copying its camera system, its movement mechanics, its level structure. 6 years after Super Mario 64, Nintendo made a splash with Super Mario Sunshine, released on July 19, 2002 for the GameCube. It was the first major title under new CEO Satoru Iwata, set on the tropical Isle Delfino, where Mario wields his water-powered flood robot, introducing unique spraying mechanics for movement, combat, and puzzles. Originally designed without Mario, the concept was reworked after early tests felt off, with Miyamoto's own beach vacation inspiring the island vibe. It sold around 6 million copies worldwide. Solid, but shy of Mario 64's record-breaking success. After a bit of a drought, 11 years since Yoshi's Island and 14 years since Super Mario Land 2, fans were desperate for a new 2D Mario. May 15, 2006, new Super Mario Bros. Launches on the Nintendo DS. And it's like Nintendo printing money. The gameplay is 2D, but the characters and objects are rendered in 3D on two-dimensional backgrounds. Because they weren't limited by sprites anymore, they could add new mechanics, like Mario teetering on edges and swinging on ropes. The game uses an overworld map similar to Super Mario Bros. 3, with some levels having multiple exits. It sold over 30 million copies, becoming the best-selling portable Mario game ever, and proving that fans are starving for traditional side-scrolling Mario action. November 12, 2007, and Super Mario Galaxy launches for the Wii. Now, Miyamoto admitted by this point that he was getting burned out on ideas. He'd been making Mario games for over 20 years. When the board kept pressing him for the next big concept, he apparently just groaned and said, "Put him in outer space or something." And you know what? That whatever attitude resulted in one of the greatest games ever made. Galaxy takes place across various galaxies with spherical planetoids that each have their own gravity. You can walk sideways, upside down, jump between planets. It's mind-bending at first, but it becomes second nature. The game introduced motion controls to the series, and while some people were skeptical, they actually worked really well. The game sold nearly 13 million copies and got perfect or near perfect scores from basically every reviewer. So now we're rolling into the late 2000s, and Nintendo's in this interesting position where they've got the Wii selling like absolute gangbusters. Over 101 million consoles worldwide. But they know from experience that 3D Mario games, while critically beloved, don't sell quite as well as the 2D ones. Super Mario Galaxy was incredible, but they needed something with broader appeal to keep that momentum going. November 15th, 2009. New Super Mario Bros. Wii drops, and it's exactly what they needed. 4-player co-op, which sounds chaotic, and it absolutely is, but in the best way possible. The game moved over 30 million copies, making it one of the best-selling video games of all time, and the 4th best-selling Wii game. May 23rd, 2010. Super Mario Galaxy 2 launches. And here's the thing. This was originally going to be an expansion pack for the first Galaxy. But as development continued, they realized that they had enough content for a full sequel. The game keeps everything great about the first one, but adds even more creative ideas. Yoshi returns as a rideable companion. New power-ups include the Cloud Flower that lets you create platforms in midair, and the Rock Mushroom that turns you into a rolling boulder. Sales were a bit lower at about 7 million copies, but that's still impressive for a 3D Mario game. November 13th, 2011. Super Mario 3D Land hits the Nintendo 3DS. And this is where Nintendo tries something really clever. They wanted to bridge the gap between 2D and 3D Mario games. The gameplay is three-dimensional, and you can move in all directions, but the levels are linear with a clear path to the goal, more like the 2D games. The 3DS's glasses-free 3D effect was used brilliantly here. Better than any other game on the system, honestly. You could judge distances and jumps more accurately with the 3D slider turned on. The Super Leaf from the Super Mario Bros. 3 game returns as the main power-up, giving Mario the Tanuki tail. It sold nearly 13 million copies, making it the 6th best-selling 3DS game, which is solid. But here's the funny part. Nintendo slapped a big 3D in the title, and all the fans who loved 2D Mario ignored it anyway, thinking that it was a full 3D game. Marketing mistake right there. August 19th, 2012. And we get new Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS. Now, at this point, Miyamoto's kind of over it. According to interviews, when they asked him about making another 2D Mario for the 3DS, he apparently asked, "What's that one that we did a few years ago? The one with the music?" They reminded him that it was new Super Mario Bros. And he just said, "Make another one, keep the bit." So they did. The game's secondary goal is collecting as many coins as possible. There's even a gold flower power-up that turns blocks into coins. It's fine. It's Mario. It sold over 13 million copies, but it felt a bit samey. November 18th, 2012. New Super Mario Bros. U launches as a Wii U launch title. Now, the Wii U was already struggling, and honestly, another new Super Mario Bros. Game wasn't going to save it. This one has the flying squirrel suit for gliding, and asymmetric gameplay where someone with the gamepad can place blocks to help other players. It introduced Nabbit, and it made better use of HD graphics than previous games. In June of 2013, they released new Super Luigi U as DLC. Shorter, harder levels with Luigi as the main character instead of Mario. It later got a standalone retail release. The combined sales of both versions on Wii U were decent at about 6 million. And the Switch port, new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, added Toadette and Nabbit as playable characters, and has sold over 12 million more. November 22nd, 2013. Super Mario 3D World arrives on Wii U, and this is genuinely fantastic. It's the sequel to 3D Land, using the same linear 3D gameplay, but now with 4-player co-op. Princess Peach, Toad, and Rosalina from Super Mario Galaxy are all playable alongside Mario and Luigi, just like Super Mario Bros. 2. Miyamoto said even though it's a 3D game, it's more accessible to everybody than Galaxy. The game sold about 6 million on Wii U, but when it came to Switch in 2021 as Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, it really found its audience, selling over 14 million combined. September 11th, 2015. Super Mario Maker launches on Wii U, and this is where things get meta. The Wii U was absolutely tanking sales-wise, and Nintendo's execs kept looking at Miyamoto for the next big idea. He finally snapped and basically said, "Listen, I'm in my 50s. I joined this company to make toy art, not video games. My creativity's running thin." Well, after an awkward silence, someone suggested maybe they should let players make their own Mario levels. Miyamoto apparently didn't even claim it as his idea, but they ran with it anyway. The game lets you create levels using the styles of Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Bros. U, and then share them online. It's brilliant. If Nintendo couldn't think of new ideas, let the fans do it. In 2016, Nintendo launched Super Mario Run. Miyamoto took the stage at an Apple's iPhone event to announce the game. An auto runner, where Mario runs automatically and you control when he jumps. It was fun, but a $10 price tag was steep for mobile buyers. And only about 3% of users bought the full version. Not quite the money printer that everybody expected. October 27th, 2017, Super Mario Odyssey launches for the Switch. And oh man, this is the return to form that everyone wanted. Full, free-roaming exploration like Super Mario 64 and Sunshine, but bigger and better. The big mechanic is Cappy, Mario's sentient hat that he can throw to capture enemies and objects, taking control of them. When it launched on the same day as Assassin's Creed Origins, Mario sold 18 million copies, while Assassin's Creed sold 10 million. Ubisoft then named their next game Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Miyamoto apparently muttered, quote, "Nice try, pricks." June 28th, 2019. Super Mario Maker 2 had already launched with tons of new items, enemies, themes, and a world builder plus online multiplayer. It addressed most complaints for the first game and added the Super Mario 3D World style. Over 8 million copies sold, making it one of the better-selling Switch titles. September 18th, 2020. Super Mario 3D All-Stars releases for Switch as part of Mario's 35th anniversary. It's a compilation of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy, all upscaled for HD displays. Nintendo made it a limited release, only available until March of 2021, which seemed like artificial scarcity, but it still sold over 9 million copies. It gave a whole new generation the chance to experience these classics. October 20th, 2023, Super Mario Bros. Wonder launches for the Switch, and it's the first original 2D Mario game in 11 years. Players can explore levels and worlds in any order they want. New power-ups include the elephant fruit that transforms you into an elephant, and the bubble flower that shoots bubbles to capture enemies. But the wildest addition is the Wonder Flower. Touch it, and the entire level transforms with bizarre, surreal effects. Pipes start dancing. Enemies morph. Gravity flips. It's Nintendo being weird and experimental in the best way. The game's also the first to feature Kevin Afghani as Mario's voice after Charles Martinet retired from voice acting in August of 2023, transitioning to a Mario ambassador role after voicing the character for over 30 years. And that brings us to today. Beyond the main games, the Mario franchise has exploded into spin-offs. Mario Kart, Mario Party, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Paper Mario, Mario and Luigi RPGs, Dr. Mario puzzle games. The series has sold over 430 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling video game franchises ever. Mario has appeared in over 200 games across every Nintendo platform. He has transcended gaming to become a genuine pop culture icon, more recognizable to children than Mickey Mouse, according to a 1990 survey, with merchandise everywhere, a theme park at Universal Studios, and successful animated movies. From a simple carpenter jumping over barrels in 1981 to a multimedia empire spanning 40-plus years, Mario's journey from arcade cabinets to global phenomena shows no signs of slowing down. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, hit like, Subscribe, and let me know your favorite Mario memory in the comments. Until next time.